Okay, so remember these terms: Army tactical missile systems and precision strike missiles. Those will become very, very important in the next few weeks, months. Certainly not. This isn't going to take longer than a year, I don't think. But 90% of these long-range missile systems are depleted. American long-range missile stocks depleted. 50% of the global supply of Tomahawk cruise missiles are depleted. This is kind of unprecedented stuff, and it's where Iran has, maybe on purpose, perhaps by pure luck, stumbled across the great weakness in the American empire, which is complex supply chains. So, when you look at munitions crises during world wars, okay, the British Shells crisis of 1915, which leads to the downfall of the Asquith government, the rise of Lloyd George, who was a kind of, if nothing else, very good at kind of logistics and the politics of logistics and getting factories producing shells very, very quickly. What Lloyd George was benefited from was pre-existing integrated supply chains and relative simplicity of manufacture. It's a lot simpler to build a lot of artillery shells than it is to build even one cruise missile. These are very, very complex weapons, as we know. When you look at Japan in the Second World War, that is basically its supply chains are cut from which are essentially resource supply chains. Long before the heavy bombing of the Japanese home islands begins, Japan is kind of deprived of crucial metals and oil and other resources. So the Americans understood very clearly during the Second World War how you choke Japan. Wasn't that difficult to work out. The ability of America to wage war in the Gulf, the kind of war that it wants to wage, of precision strikes, is all but over. So what does that force America to do? Probably, if the sensible choice of withdraw, declare it a disaster, and negotiate what you can, if that isn't kind of decided upon, which I suspect it won't be, then the other option is air power. And here's where you get, into really, really risky territory. The Iranians will shoot down lots of American planes. If America rapidly increases the numbers of fighter aircraft and bomber aircraft in the skies, the Iranians will shoot some of them down. They will parade the pilots on TV. Pilots may well die in the process of being shot down, and it will conjure up for the American public memories of Vietnam. During the air war over North Vietnam, lots of American pilots were shot down. The North Vietnamese had Russian and Chinese-made anti-aircraft systems which were surprisingly effective in shooting down Phantoms and B-52s. So that's what you'll get. The Iranians will win a propaganda war very easily this way. And an air war over Iran won't achieve Trump's objectives. Trump isn't really, I think, particularly sure what his objectives are. His objective is actually to get out of Dodge very quickly without looking too stupid. The stupid bit is kind of baked in now, but he wants to get out of this war as quickly as possible, and Israel wants to keep him in. But the missile stocks issue will be it'll be one of the things he can't change. the problem here is that missiles take an awful long time to construct, to build. It may well be that America pivots, and I'm almost certainly it will do this if it's not doing it already. It will pivot towards cheap, easy to manufacture things like drones and other mass-produced, again, very, very simple, very, very effective armaments. That, even then, I suspect, won't bring Iran to its knees. Iran has the chokehold of Hormuz, and also there are, without any sort of really defined objectives for the mission. The first objective, as articulated by Netanyahu, was to decapitate the regime and bring about regime change. Blah blah blah. That hasn't happened. It won't happen. And it doesn't matter in this instance what technological innovations are brought about. They will still fail. So the question of missiles, I think, is a hugely important one. And it's a hugely important one on a more global scale, as missiles are withdrawn from the remaining stocks of missiles are withdrawn from places like South Korea. South Koreans the other day essentially said to the Americans, "It's probably better if you go." To be honest with you, having you around is actually a cause of instability, not its remedy. So the longer term effect of firstly demonstrating in the Gulf that you can't protect Gulf allies, or saying to Gulf allies, your fault for believing us, which is kind of a bit of a Trumpian line, or saying to Gulf allies, you should pay us for our protection now. That kind of little sequence of diplomatic gaffes and failures has simply informed Southeast Asia and other kind of parts of the Pax Americana that the patron is no longer reliable, and this again has catastrophic effects on the continuance of America's world role. Anyway, watch out for those missiles. Take care now. Bye bye.